Good evening, Guardians, and welcome back to Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast. I am your host, Josh. Corey has the week off this week. His wife are celebrating their anniversary. So joining us, we have the one, the only, Yeetus Deletus himself, our favorite Titan. Don't tell Colonel Panic or Corey that, though. I just realized how many Titans we have on this show.
My man started with some heat.
A1 Johnny.
Thank you. Always good to be back.
Always good to have you here. We haven't had you here in a little while, since the Witch Queen reveal. Yep. We had some pre-trials changes, and then I went on vacation, and the amount of messages I got while on vacation caused my girlfriend to almost message you herself and say, please stop messaging him. It is 2 o'clock in the morning where we are.
We're on vacation. My man's doesn't need Destiny takes right now.
Pretty much. That was about what she said, because she had a migraine. I haven't told this story, but Chelsea had a migraine on vacation. And I bought a Backbone controller right before we went on vacation. I told y'all I tried playing some Destiny. I played it in the airport, and she put me on her Snapchat. And both of her sisters, and my family members, by the way, my stepsister, my dad's wife, and my aunt all follow her on Snapchat. All saw it within 20 minutes. All 5 of them are like, really? He's playing it in the airport while you are leaving on vacation. He can't be playing anything else. He actually has the headphones plugged in. He's got it out. I was trying to run strikes. It was early in the season. I was trying to get some of those crispy pinnacle drops. I had a good connection at the airport. Fast forward a couple days. We're on vacation with my friend Ray. Chelsea's not feeling good one night, so she's laying down with a migraine. It's pouring rain outside. I decide I'm going to stay in the hotel room. I'm not going to go out. I went and got her dessert and came back. I'm sitting out there, and I thought maybe only like half hour, 45 minutes had passed since I got back. She came in. I came out to get something to drink and goes, wait, you're still up? How long have you been sitting out here? I was like, oh, like a half an hour. She's like, no, you haven't been, because I get an alert when you go live on your Xbox. When you sign in, the app tells me, because I'm one of her favorites, apparently, and she's never turned that setting off on the app. She goes, this is from 3 hours ago. So,
it happens. It happens.
I may not be allowed to take the Backbone controller on the Christmas vacation. I have asked if I can take the Series S instead, though, for maximum profitability. And I have been told, absolutely not, your mother is going with us. My mom would actually probably throw it off the balcony if she saw that I brought the Xbox with us. But, listen, we got a 30th anniversary coming up. We've got a Halo coming out. I got games I'm going to be getting for Christmas. Come on, guys. Come on. I know it's supposed to be about family time,
Backbone's coming. The Backbone.
Listen, my stepsister plays Destiny, okay? She can vouch for me. It's okay. But I digress. Getting back to the trials changes, though. Corey and I have talked a lot about it. John, I want to get your quick 2-3 minute rundown on trials, how you've been feeling. I think we're pretty much in agreement on it. But before we dive into anything else tonight, John, your experience with the Trials rework.
I absolutely love the changes. Barring week 3 with the objective mode, that's its own bag.
I'm happy to try new things. We've been clear about that. I think Corey actually kind of liked the objective mode, and I did too. Once the flawless pool got activated,
I with the objective mode, like you said, I love seeing them try new stuff. Yeah. I do think the objective mode in its concept was good. Just the implementation, I understand why they did this, but the whole you lose a round and then it just starts in your spawn was not great. Not great.
Well, and the fact that you could still capture zones after eliminating the team.
Yeah.
Because they acknowledged that there was a snowballing of supers in that.
Oh, yeah. And, for teams that were 4-1, right, going up into the final round, they would purposely lose a match so it would start in their spawn, and then you have people who were obviously whipping your ass with supers, final round spawns right in front of them. There were issues there, but I don't mind trying different stuff. But yeah, overall though, I love the trials changes. I went flawless for the first time ever, twice, and it's great to see more people in the playlist. It's great to see normal people in the playlist. It's great to have fair matches because I'm not only fighting recovs and streamers and the top 1%, sweat lords. It's nice to have that feeling of competition, but have it be obtainable, have it be a real thing that you can do, when you're up against a team of people of about equal skill. It's just nice. It's nice.
Yeah, it's good. And I think it's nice that they've been keeping the trend of, well, I guess not nice, but it's better now that it's like this, because this was always the complaint we had in comp, was that the best weapons in the game were locked behind a competitive wall in PvP, which resorted to people paying for carries, getting carried by their just godlike friends, or setting up specific kill lobbies in the case of Mountaintop.
Yeah.
And Trials, before we got the pity bounty, as it's been dubbed, was like that for its first season when it came back. I remember trying to get Summoner, and just being so frustrated that I couldn't get past the second match, or we couldn't win the third.
Yeah, we'd work all weekend for a shot at
all
one
weekend. I mean, like 8-9 hours we're putting into Trials. We were just torturing ourselves because we knew those were some of the best weapons in the entire game. And pity bounty comes out. Okay, cool. We were doing enough to get our bounty, make sure all the homies got the whatever armor piece was up or whatever, and then we were out of there.
Yeah,
we were done. We weren't trying. If we got past 3 wins, cool. Yeah. If we got the 3 wins, we were celebrating. Now
I think maybe twice in the last year we made it to 5 wins.
and I mean that wasn't even all of us either. Like we would get to the 5th game and then we would lose.
Yeah.
Now we're messaging each other repeatedly, going like, "Oh my god, dude! I can't believe we barely missed going flawless. Oh, I can't believe we were 6-0 and then it fell apart." Or something like that. Like I messaged you over it was Monday morning. Yeah. I had half of a flawless card when I went to bed the night before. I had already used my mercy though, because there is a bug with matches 1 and 2 that if you've gone flawless, you will only match against other flawless players for those matches for whatever reason, and that'll be fixed in a patch later this month, I believe. But I had to use my mercy in round 2, and I was just like, okay, whatever. I'm gonna get to 20 rounds, and then I'm just gonna farm the 7th game. I'm gonna farm. I want to keep getting chances at the Lantern Shell, or at the other Ghost Shell, the second one that came out. You can get those. You don't have to go to the Lighthouse for those.
Yeah.
So I want to keep farming these wins. Well, then I went flawless Monday morning on the rest of the card, and I'm messaging John about it. I was like, dude, I just went flawless. And he's like, well, what'd you get? And Eye of Soul was the adept weapon that was up, and
son of a bitch.
I got 2 rolls that John is very not happy about, and I think it hurts him even more knowing that they're great PvP rolls,
but I never going to be used.
I don't snipe in PvP. I've retired from that life. I left that life behind on Valhalla and Halo 3. I have never picked it back up.
Oh, come on, Josh. You got the Adept Icarus. I want to see you getting those Adept Icarus shots with Eye of Soul in the air.
God, dude. I have Adept Icarus, but I can't get charge time to save my life. But it's just introduced this great, I think, camaraderie in the community. Like we're seeing more people than ever before try. Like PvP mains keep trying to build this big story out of Trials, I think, of like, oh, it has declining numbers. Look, see, that's proof. Like Bungie shouldn't have changed anything from week 1. Or, like I've seen some casual PvE players say the same thing. And I'm like, well, it's still, even in its 4th week, and we took a week off in between for Iron Banner, still is higher than almost any other Trials weekend in history across games 1 and 2.
Yeah, when Trials of the 9 launched, there was a big surge, and then it was about half as much after that the next weekend, and then it was just pitiful. And the same with the relaunch of Osiris in D2. It was a big surge of, hey, it's bad.
It was bad.
And then,
and I do think combining Xbox and PS4, PS5 players together has helped a lot.
Yep. That's why I play
even
Trials on my Xbox. I play mostly on PC these days. And it's not that I'm afraid of mouse and keyboard players, but it's literally twice the player pool with Xbox and PS5 and the 3 people on Stadia, all in one pool. So it's good.
It's fantastic. I really like it. I'm curious to see how we keep going with this. I find myself looking forward to what's going to be the trials weapon again. Now in these weeks, because it's almost never the adept has never been about armor, right?
Yeah.
But I find myself going like, okay, I realistically I probably am done until Reed's Regret comes back, Shayura's or Messenger. Like those
I
are
know
the three.
you want that adept messenger, Josh. I know you want that adept messenger, Josh.
I need the adept messenger. I have made do with a role that I have been told is bad repeatedly by multiple people, and let me tell you something. That role has carried me to the lighthouse twice. It has gotten
you to a grandmaster today.
It has gotten me through every grandmaster I have done. I take that back. It got me through the grandmaster today. It's got me through multiple master nightfalls. It got me through a couple GMs. I think the first season that we were attempting them when we did Arms Dealer. But Rapid Hit One for All is not exactly. It's a good PvE role. Let me be really clear. That's not what you want to take into PvP, though.
No.
I did get Outlaw Kill Clip on one. So I will be trying to use that in PvP more. Hey, when you only get one roll and that's it, you got to keep making do with it. Yeah. And now, with the targeted farming, it's so much easier. But we do have another topic this week. We're not just here to talk trials as much as
I thought
John and I like it. We've covered trials extensively on this show. Until something major changes, we do know we have another Labs weekend coming up. We have something else going on, though, for the rest of this month. And, let's jump into it. In the past, I have called Festival of the Lost the Festival of the Cost. I think that Festival of the Lost is just the Haunted Forest. By the time we did it for the third year in a row, I was fucking done. I didn't play it last year. I played very little. Even the second year, I didn't play as much. This is a radically better event. And I want to quote our friend Paul Tassi, who says, maybe it's just the relief of not doing the Haunted Forest again.
Yeah.
But this feels better. And I will say, I like the Haunted Lost Sectors. I like the headless ones. And I love that Glint is narrating the whole thing. It's so fucking goofy. I do wish there was a rotation of more than just 3 Lost Sectors, but I get it. You have time constraints. You don't want to pull people off of making actual seasonal content that we're going to enjoy for months at a time. I like this. I like that there is an entire lore book dedicated to this now.
I think that right there is so cool. Yeah, unlocking ghost stories from a ghost.
Unlocking ghost, literally ghost stories. And it's cool. Like if you read them, there's actually a lore explanation for the headless ones. I have not read the whole book. I'm going off what other people told me. I have about 4 or 5 pages left to unlock in the book. I have grinded it out. I have played so goddamn many Lake of Shadows regular nightfalls. I can do that strike in under 5 minutes now. on the 1250 Nightfall. It's ridiculous, but it's the quickest way to farm it. And so before we get into the pros of this event, Bungie told us about an hour before we started recording, they are nerfing how many pages you can earn from Lake of Shadows Nightfall, which was 5 pages, Wrathborn Hunts, and Expunge, which each rewarded 6 pages.
Josh, can I ask you who this season was running Expunge or Wrathborn Hunts for any reason before this week?
Nobody. Not a single.
The answer is nobody.
The answer is absolutely nobody, except for me, because I'm still trying to get that fucking ship from the High Cell.
Poor soul.
I have done probably about 20 to 25 runs of this stupid mission. Still don't have it. I feel the pain of people who don't have Vex Mythoclast. Yeah. I feel the pain of people who do not have Eyes of Tomorrow. Mine is a much, much simpler plight. But god dang it, it's the one exotic thing I'm missing from this series of seasons. I'm gonna be really upset if I have to go buy it from the fucking kiosk, like always on time. I do not want to spend 200 something spoils.
It'll show up for silver next summer in case.
Oh my god! No, do not give them ideas. They will hear you. But it's just this is really similar to we had a controversy. It wasn't with the Laurels; it was with something else that they nerfed. It was back in Chosen. It wasn't Chosen. It was the transmog bounties for the Splicer.
Yeah.
How you had to earn a currency, then go turn that currency in and do it again. And it's just this, you had to earn currency to even buy a bounty, then you had to earn more in order to, then you had to do the bounty and then go turn it in and turn in another thing. It was ridiculous. We now have that twice here. Okay, so we have that with the lore pages. You have to earn them in a playlist activity or in a public event or something. Then you have to go you gotta go do the Lost Sector playlist, which takes you out of everything entirely, kills your streak that you're on, and then you can turn those in at Christmas Grandma.
Yeah.
And that's too much back and forth for me. It's too much to keep straight. If I didn't care so much about lore, I would probably just read it on Ishtar Collective.
Yep. But the second I saw, like, oh, the hook is here's a whole lore book to unlock. I'm like, oh, these motherfuckers, catch me out here grinding for the next 3 weeks, because
it's such a cool concept. I really do hope this is something that they do going forward, just not like this. This is a really bad idea. This is the ultimate, like, you just gave us so much. You are in a season that everyone loves. You are doing so much right. It was just like coming out of Chosen and going into Splicer and announcing the transmog shit. And we're like, you are literally shooting yourself repeatedly in the foot right now. This was not mentioned in the TWAB that came out an hour and a half before. They gave us the good news of, Mythoclast is going to be nerfed. You guys like that right here? Let's slide this out at 7 o'clock at night on a Thursday and hope nobody notices. And it's just, they won't tell us what change they deployed to the Nightfall until Tuesday, which I think is actually kind of ingenious. They're going to let you run it all weekend if you want to.
No,
I
think they just said you won't get pages from it because people can farm it.
Got you.
That's what they meant. And it'll revert.
That's almost worse. That's almost worse. God.
Because it's like the Shadows, like you just said, you could do it in 5 minutes once you know what you're doing.
And it's like,
listen,
I have never complained. I have never had a problem with having to play the game in order to get the rewards.
Yeah.
But don't make me earn a currency in something and then take it into the holiday playlist and then go back to the tower. Let me just earn shit let me earn the pages I need to earn in this. I would sit in that Lost Sectors playlist for hours and do it because I want the lore that badly. I want to earn candy, and that was the quickest way to earn candy too. Let's be honest, you were getting like 500-600 a run, and the stuff for candy is so absurdly expensive.
Yeah.
Like, and you have to buy all 6 masks, and I get it's for completionists in order to get the special Sparrow. I'm questioning if I even have the heart to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, this falls under the like, what was this hurting exactly? If people want to grind 40-second Wrathborn hunts for an entire evening to unlock the lore book, let them do it. It's not hurting.
We also did this back during Christmas. Let's not pretend like this is something new. Christmas, we did it for Guardian games. We've been doing this all year, and now you're choosing to nerf it.
We've been doing this for 7 years now. This is what Destiny players do. They find the shortest farming method, and they do it for 18 hours straight, and then complain that there's no content.
You're making us jump through different hoops to go enjoy a very enjoyable holiday playlist, but why would I go run it if I'm not going to maximize my engagement with it? Because I'll tell you something. I'm 2 days in. I don't need any more Jurassic Green rolls.
Yeah.
I don't need any more Braytech Werewolf. I don't need any more Horror Story. I will only be touching those to finish my lore pages and to get my weekly Bright Dust bounties for the next 2 weeks done. That's it. And that's not because this is a bad event. It's because I think it's bad how it's structured. And I've railed against Bungie events a lot on this show over the last year and a half.
Yep.
But I do want to point out what is done correctly with this event instead of just the negative. It is a fun playlist. Can I get Glint as my ghost and get rid of Nolan North?
Whoa, sir. I will not hear disrespect.
Listen, I like Nolan North. I like Nolan North a lot, but Glint has a personality. I've said for a long time that I think the biggest strength of these seasons has been that Ghost has been a non-existent character almost entirely. Now, that's not to say I would not have welcomed some banter between Ghost and Glint during some of these runs, because the lines he has with Ikora, I mean, even Petra, but the Petra one is hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, Guardian, I see you're taking a much deserved break. And Glint is like, hi, Petra, we're hunting headless ones on the moon. They drop loot. And she's just like, she literally goes, God, why do I bother? And hangs up. It is fantastic.
Yeah.
This is kind of goofy shit I want. I want Glint to narrate me dropping cookies off with ribbon. Like I need something funny like that. Go ahead, John.
Well, they killed off the other funny ghost, so
it's true. It's true. We couldn't afford Marina Baccarin anymore.
Yeah, no, this is. I almost feel at this point, with as big as Bungie's getting and with what they're doing with Destiny, I feel like they need to, in the same way they're gearing up a bona fide true PvP team moving forward, I feel like they need a seasonal event team to just every 2 years or so pick one of these events and refresh them. So it's not the same thing 3-4 years in a row for Dawning, for, you know.
And it's funny that you say that, because today there was brought to the attention of the community team that the timer in the Lost Sectors needs to autocomplete when teams reach the boss cap. For those who don't know, when you do the Haunted Lost Sector, 10 bosses is the max. I have never figured that out, but I would have like 90 seconds of doing nothing on some runs because we were just melting them so quickly.
Yeah.
And Damage actually gave a really long explanation of it on Reddit, but the long and the short of it is, this was a bug identified towards the end of development, but we could not get a fix in time. He's going to see if there's a fix being planned for the duration of the event, but this will likely exist for all of it. And he gives an entire paragraph of it and says in bold italics, this is not a high priority blocker.
Yeah.
Burning 60 seconds while waiting for a boss to spawn can be annoying, but it's not erroring players out of the mode, preventing quests from completion, negatively impacting performance, stuff like that. It's a bummer, especially when it impacts the top percentiles of the community that burn through bosses. If we don't get a fix out, we'll note it for next year in the case that Haunted Sectors return. Haunted Sectors are totally coming back. They're totally coming back.
You do different sectors, make new ghost stories.
Yeah, you don't say that.
One side note before we keep going. It's bugged for me personally because I've only done the Europa one. I've done probably 20 of them only on Europa.
Jesus.
I don't know why.
How tired of seeing Perdition are you?
Very, because I have grinded it so much for all the different exotics over the past year. But anyways, yeah.
No, it is frustrating, and like I understand the defense of that. If you identify something late in development, there's nothing you can really do about it, right?
Especially for these, as much as we want more out of it, it's a fundraising event. It's something to do in the dead part of the season. It's an Eververse event. It's, I'm not mad that I paid money for a tarantula sparrow. I'm stoked on that thing. I love it.
So that's the next thing I want to move into. So the cosmetics of this event. I mean, Bungie's they've had some hits and they've had some misses in the past. The Christmas ones are usually pretty bad. Outside of, I would say, the Santa Sleigh Sparrow was great when they first introduced it. It shoots glimmer out of the back. It's fantastic. And the ice ornament for Black Talon is still one of the cooler ones in the game, I think.
I think the Dawning armor sets look cool. Maybe not with the obnoxious shaders that come in with default.
Yeah.
But,
I think that, and I think those can be hit and miss. I mean, God knows Guardian game stuff is super hit and miss. Solstice.
At least they took shaders this year. I
like that they seem to be embracing the goofy theme of Festival of the Lost like they do with the summer event. I mean, the Scooty Puff, the inflatable... We got inflatable sharks this year for Ghosts.
I am running around like a Power Ranger with a T-Rex helmet, you
and I bought Cowboy Hat Ghosts last year and were ecstatic about it.
Yep.
We sat there and planned out...
It was my profile picture on Twitter for like 8 months. Yeah.
It's still my default Ghost that I use all the time. Like... These goofy things that we have connections to, and I love that they're embracing that with Halloween. Like whether it's the Pennywise dance or it's like you said, the Dino armor is fantastic.
Yep.
I would make one major change, and that is on the Hunter set. I don't like that my helmet is not just my helmet. I have to be wearing the cloak for the top half of the T-Rex head. That really bothers me. And I think that was a really poor design decision. I get why you did that, but I think a hoodless cloak that has like moss on it or something would have been better, or like scales or something.
I feel you, but I'm gonna also flip the coin here. That does mean you can have cool raptor helmet with any mask you want to wear. I don't know if you saw on the Reddit fashion.
I can't actually, because when you put the mask on, it auto puts your hood down.
I saw someone wearing Graviton forefoot with the raptor.
Oh,
head.
you can wear a regular one. Yeah, I thought you meant
That's what I'm
Halloween
saying.
mask.
Yeah.
I thought you meant Halloween mask. No, I was wearing it with my Trials helmet yesterday.
Yeah.
That's the one I usually default have on. So I do think that those sets look really cool. I don't know if they look quite as cool as the promo images, but they still look really cool. As far as a seasonal event goes, it's probably my favorite piece of armor we've ever gotten.
Yeah.
Although I will say the Werewolf Hunter set last year
that
and
the
vampire Warlock set was pretty good too.
Yeah, and then we got the really. I hate this term whenever critiquing anything in games, so bear with me. I felt like the Titan one was lazy. It was literally just some torn cloth and some chains, and it was supposed to be Frankenstein, I guess, but I don't know. It just, compared to the vampire warlocks and the werewolf hunters, I felt I didn't even buy that set last year. It was just not anything. It just looked like messy Titan armor.
There was nothing to write home about, right? And I don't know. I enjoy some of the cosmetics. I think that the fucking tarantula sparrow creeps me out. I don't like spiders to begin with, so it like freaks me out. Especially because I had friends getting on their sparrows and like very subtly driving up behind me. So when I turned around, I saw the fucking legs moving. And it got really old really quickly.
Whoever designed that thing, whoever full sent it to have moving legs with physics, I hope they get a bonus, because the first time I took off on my sparrow and all the legs went limp and started flying behind the sparrow as I hit the boost, I giggled so hard. I was not expecting that. I expected when I bought it for it just to have stiff in position legs.
I did too. I think it's really cool. I like it, but I want to say and reiterate what I did with the Dawning last year. Once items have been out for a couple of years with these events, you need to have a way for them to. You want to get people to go play your playlist activity. Have some of that stuff drop. You don't have to give us like astronomically high chances, but let it drop. Give us. And I know you're not going to go back to doing this, but it used to be back in the day. We would get extra engrams during these events. We would get double bright engrams because one of them would have only event-related stuff in it. I understand why you can't do that, because people would very quickly run out of things to get, especially if they're hoarders like some of us and get just about everything. But I don't know. I think we got to see a change with that. We got to see some of that stuff. And we saw that kind of with the Dawning last year. We saw a few things awarded that had been there in the past for the community goals. I would have liked to have seen something like that. Like, oh, we're going to give away some of the older emotes. Like, I have the acoustic guitar emote, the guitarist. I bought that one the very first Festival of the Lost in D2 that it was available, because I liked that so much. It was the only guitar emote, and I like it a lot. I play acoustic guitar, so I wanted it. That has never gone up for dust. That has always been a silver-only item. It has not been available. I think it skipped being available last year. So now with the archive here, it's available again, but you're expecting people to pay $10 for this? Yeah. I got it for dust when it came out. Like, if I remember correctly. If not, then I definitely paid real money for it, because it's awesome.
Armor from 3 festivals ago is still 6,000 bright, or 6,000 silver. Like,
if you're going to keep selling it, you need to mark it down in price.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a whole other conversation entirely. The cost of things in Eververse is something I want to wait until the 30th anniversary happens to have that discussion on this show, because it's not like it's something we've shied away from, but if things that we've kind of heard rumored don't come to pass, then I think that the community is rightfully going to be pretty upset.
Yeah.
We're kind of I think as a community we're reaching a tipping point with Eververse, especially in these holiday events. During the season, I think we're largely okay because almost everything gets offered for dust. But the amount that things cost versus the amount of dust you actually can earn in game is laughable.
Yeah.
And I know that the solution is, well, you got to pick and choose. And like I struggle, and I only play one class. I struggle to get everything that I want. Now, I say this having 95,000 bright dust, but I have that much because I'm very cautious with what I get. I only get things for guns that I'm using currently. I only get armor sets if I really like how they look. I don't buy every armor set anymore for dust. I did buy the Dino set because I was like, I really don't want to go buy any silver right now. Like, we're trying to watch our cash with Christmas coming up. But we're going to have the Dawning. We're going to have the 30th anniversary event. Like, there's going to be more shit hitting the store. And I don't know. Like, I think that the amount of Bright Dust you get, because we have one of these holiday events almost every season, that needs to be increased. 200 for a weekly bounty is inexcusable at this point.
Yeah, I mean, you know how much I play. I'm sitting at 11,000 after buying my T-Rex set. You know, I'm in like the top 5% of people on Xbox in the whole Northern American continent. You know, like I play a fuck ton of this game, and I'm struggling to keep.
I mean,
up.
I think I speak for all of us when, you know, everybody who comes on this show, like, this is our main online game that we play, and it's still really frustrating to see. Like, I saw Halo Infinite fans going like, "Oh my god, I can't believe that like almost half the levels don't have a reward for the free track." And I'm like, well, first off, welcome to a battle pass. Second off, your game is free. Like, why are you upset? You only have to pay for the battle pass. Like, I look at something like, you know, and I don't want to obviously derail this into a battle pass conversation, but I would like to see more rewards tied to triumphs for the event. Like, I like that during this event there's a shader, there's an exotic sparrow. There was an emblem, and I want to say there was one other thing you could earn.
I'm pretty sure it's a ghost. There's a ghost you can pick up.
I think there's a ghost if you do everything, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I think that that's all cool, but can we get some more? Like, I think it's every single event like this should have a community aspect to it also, because then you can give away that stuff. If you feel really bad about giving it to us, like, I got a bunch of old emotes during the last Dawning, and I thought that was cool. You've never reintroduced a lot of the Revelry stuff. Give that to us during Guardian games. I don't know. Like, I don't know what else to propose, but there needs to be a way to be able to access this stuff without draining our pockets.
Yeah.
The fact that you can't say, "Oh, we brought all this back," and it's like mostly for silver only. There's like 8 pages of past festival stuff, but it's all for silver. None of it, other than the armor sets, is for Bright Dust.
Yeah.
And that's inexcusable.
Yeah. You know, I've said it before. I feel like Destiny seasons are too cheap. And I feel like they overstep in areas like this to make up for that, because you do make lots of money on these microtransactions, you know. Like, I would be really curious to see how much money Bungie made in the first 8 hours of this event going live, just from people buying dino sets and tarantula sparrows and you know. I wish they would maybe charge a little more for seasons and cut back a little more in the Eververse.
I know you and I are in the very, very non-vocal minority on that opinion.
Yeah.
But I pointed it out here before. I know that everyone tries to compare it to Fortnite or to Apex, and it's like, well, those are games where you're just getting skins. Like, here, when you pay $10 for your season pass, you're getting access to all the seasonal content. You know, so the seasonal arena, the whatever the seal involves. So, like, if you did not buy it this season, you're not getting Shattered Realm. You're not getting the storyline. You're not getting Aegir Scepter.
Exotics.
You're not getting Aegir Scepter. You're waiting 35 levels to get
Lawrence
Driver, which has been a fucking nightmare in PvP. You cannot access trials anymore without it.
Yeah.
You're getting a full set of armor ornaments. You get an exotic emote and a finisher every single season. You get a couple of exclusive shaders. Sometimes you get a second legendary emote. A lot of times, I would say you do. And then some combination of a sparrow, a ship, and a ghost.
And sometimes something crazy like Presage or the Corridors of Time, or
something like Presage, Harbinger.
Literally some of the best Destiny content we got for $10. You know,
and it's just like, I want to know at what point, and like, you have to buy the season pass in order to access the dungeons next year. Like, I want to know at what point do we need to start having a conversation about raising the price? That if raising it to even $12, even $2 more. Ensures that you are able to hire like 3 or 4 people to only plan and execute seasonal events with a team, like to kind of oversee that.
Every year, I just want one of these activities to get refreshed, you know?
And that's what we talked about earlier this year. That's what Corey and I talked about coming out of Dawning last year, was how badly we needed a refresh. Mm-hmm. And then we noted that Guardian Games was better this year than it was in the past. Than it was last year. I think it was a better event. It was a little bit more fun. Not just because Hunters won. I got my medal in the mail. But it was the contrast, and I can't believe I'm going to say this. The contrast between Guardian games and Solstice was night and day.
Yeah,
Solstice was real bad.
Yeah.
It was real bad this year. Like next year, I swear to God, if I see the Scooty Puff in the store again for silver, I'm gonna rip my hair out because I bought that thing 2 summers ago. Like me, and our buddy Phil all ran and bought it, and I think that's the only Sparrow, like other than me using Jotun, that we ever used.
Yeah, and they made this whole new play space with the EAZ, and it's a really cool, unique play space. But after doing it 3 years in a row, I did it for an evening.
Year will be, if they reuse this again next year, which I think they know they can't, it will be the 4th year in a row. And so help me God, it took us 3 years just to be able to see where the chests were at all times. I don't have high hopes for this event being placed, but it just, and I do think this comes down to the same conversation we've had that like last summer, or not even last summer, probably last spring, right as lockdowns were happening, and they're seeing the reactions roll in for Season of the Worthless. Mm-hmm. And they're going, people really hate this. They really hate this. They had to choose, okay, do we focus on narrative or on PvP? And I'm willing, this is a PvE game. Like, I'm willing to let PvP take that hit if it means getting better content. Much like I'm willing to let the seasonal events keep taking a hit if it means we truly get the renewed focus on PvP that we've promised. If we get things like trials, I will sacrifice the Dawning every year.
Yeah. And I think that's why, because Luke Smith even came out and said in his last address before he got promoted above and put Tom in charge, that, he said, hey, during Season of the Worthy, PvE took that hit because I wanted trials back. And I feel like that was the gambit of like, okay, we're not going to have a dedicated PvP team for this amount of time while we restructure the game and prepare for the future. We need at least trials back. And sadly, it launched like it did, but I see what they were going for. But yeah.
Overall, I would say where we are now, again, it's night and day. Eververse needs a lot of work, not just for these events. Eververse in general needs a lot of work. And like we're gonna do an episode on that. Maybe it'll be in November. I really want to hold off until the 30th anniversary, but we'll be coming in a little bit too hot with the end of the year and Halo. Yeah. And I really don't want to punt that until January when we're in the lead up to the Witch Queen, the final narrative steps of the season, etc. But I'm personally having a blast with the haunted sectors. They are low effort. I don't think they planned on people being able to melt like they have been with Cartesian coordinate and 1K. Those seem to be the main culprits whenever people are melting. But I mean, Vex is still putting in work. Falling Guillotine is destroyed.
I was about to say we just proved an hour before this podcast that swords, even if it's not meta, swords still do the thing.
Yeah, if you had told me I was going to take a sword into a Grandmaster, even last year when Guillotine was at its peak, I probably would have laughed at you. But it was awesome. We needed it for 1 Void Shield at the end, and then 3 Falling Guillotines and a Stasis Tornado in a well. Man, it did it to that Lake of Shadows boss.
Yep.
While we're still talking about Festival, though, have you used this new Pulse yet, John?
I have. I have a couple different rules to play around with. I think it's good. It's awesome to get Lincoln Green back. If you pull up the other meta pulse rifles, like just base stats wise, it falls a little behind. Not so egregiously behind that it's embarrassing.
Well, and I think part of that's because it's a 540 also.
Yeah. But
not
the role
Time Horn's Fire and Grid Skipper. We've gotten 2 pretty good.
We got Grid Skipper and we got Darkest Before as well.
And Darkest Before.
Yep.
Yeah. So I guess like when I look at in terms of like rate of fire, I think that's one of the things, and how hard it hits. It kind of falls short for me in those regards.
Yeah.
I was definitely more of a Bygones guy.
Yeah.
And Bygones and
archetype we haven't. God, I'd have to look it up because we got the 340s like Messenger, and then we have
Bygones was a 390. Bygones was a 390, I believe.
And God, they have so many different archetypes. But yeah,
there's. And then I also really loved Blast Furnace. I used that probably for like 2 years when I got the God roll on that. I'm not going to lie, I still break it out in PvP from time to time because I miss it so much. But
I think Blast Furnace was a 450.
450,
So,
yeah. That's kind of like that's the sweet spot for me, I think, because messenger at times like it hits a bit harder, but it definitely doesn't fire quick enough.
Yeah.
It's a challenge to use in some kind of like in the GMs where I'm taking a lot of cover. It's okay because I can poke in and out with it. But I would take in a GM, I would take a scout any day over that if they would buff scouts just a little bit more and give me the proper mods. I'd really like to go in there with like a night watch or something.
Yeah.
I or even servant leader now. I think that this is good. I like the trend of reprising old weapons as
Fun
with like
skins. Motherfucker has scales on it. How cool is that? Like, come on.
It's awesome. I like that. I like the Braytic werewolf. I mean, I wear my Halloween shirt from a couple of years ago all the time. Even Horror Story. I ran Horror Story for a long time because it was good.
Yeah. No, the season it came out in.
Yeah, it came out right after Forsaken. Is when it came out. It came out during that season. Yeah, I used that for a lot. I used it all the way up until that summer, I think, and then 450s just fell at the face of the earth.
But yeah, with this, with Jurassic, it's a rapid fire. It's that 5/4 archetype. It's got to compete with Darkest Before and Grid Skipper, and those are two fantastic pulse rifles. I would say
Darkest Before arguably the best pulse in the game behind Messenger.
Yeah. If you are that person that only wants the best of the best and you're only focusing on PvP, then no, this pulse isn't going to do much for you. But I mean, rangefinder on a 540 pulse is pretty nuts. I got
rangefinder and multi-kill on my first drop, and I was like, I'm done. I'm good. The only thing I did not get the armor piercing rounds, I don't think. I think that's what I was. I don't know.
Ricochet if they're or high caliber rounds are probably what you want to go for on this. I have it pulled up.
I got Ricochet on one. Okay. I did not get high caliber is the one I was really wanting. So I may grind out a few more rolls, but I mean, I have another one with Frenzy on it, which I like Frenzy on Pulse now. I got it with Grid Skipper last season. Really enjoy it.
For me,
but if I'm going to run
if I'm going to do Frenzy,
go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Now we're talking to each other. The PvE role I really want is Tunnel Vision Dragonfly. Tunnel Vision, kills after a headshot reload. You get bonus aim assist, bonus aim down sights, all that. Usually pair it with kill clip, but I haven't seen the gun with Tunnel Vision and Dragonfly on it together, so I'm excited to play with that.
So for me, it would take a lot for me to want to run this in PvE. I'm much more likely to go run this in PvP, frankly. But also it's like, and I'm not trying to like always be like, oh, I'm going to go for meta shit, because I play off meta a lot, especially in PvE. I would say both in PvP probably more than PvE, because I think it's easier to play off meta in PvP if you can get a good strat down to throw people off. And that's why, like with Vex, I don't assault straight up. I circle around the entire map and come in from behind. By the time I'm there, they turn around. There's nothing that can be done, especially if I have a freezy grenade. Or I have even a throwing star to slow them a little bit. It's over. I think that this is a gun I'll probably play around with in, I don't know, it's something like Control. I can't see, or Momentum. Definitely in Momentum, I could see myself using this, but it's going to be real hard to unseat, because I'm going to use an Energy Pulse. I'm going to run Darkest Before. Even then, though, I'm typically running Vex in that slot right now. Even without particle deconstruction, like I was running it last season, really liking it, because everybody was like, "Oh, it's a trash gun," so nobody really knew how to counter it. I told you I got it, went straight into Iron Banner with it last season. I did the same thing with Shadow Price when we got those Adept ones, but it's not a gun that's going to blow your socks off. It's not going to be like Peacebound was over with Iron Banner. It's not going to be like Reed's Regret or Messenger Shayura's over in the Trials pool. It's just a decent option. Just like that's the best thing I can really say about the the Nightfall weapons this season. They're okay, fine. It's another option.
Yeah, I mean, like you could get Adept Hothead with Explosive Light, and that's the only, other than the current one, you can't put Adept Big Ones on, Ascendancy. I legitimately don't think I've fired this seasonal weapon yet. I don't think
I've been using it more and more the last couple of weeks. I'm actually coming around on it since they fixed explosive light.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually been running it in these lost sectors, and it's been really fun. But I totally agree. I totally agree with you on all that. I think that the trend of bringing an old weapon back, slapping a fun new skin on it, calling it something new, is cool. Just like we've seen with Iron Banner, they'll reprise year one weapons, but give them totally new part pools, new elements. Peacebound it's a stasis sidearm now with Headstone, which low key may be my favorite new perk of the season.
Who would have? I want to go back and talk to 2016 John and let him know that Steady Hand was one day going to be the PvP meta.
I want to go back and talk to me 2.5 years ago and say, hey, you're going to one day run sidearms in endgame content, so that I'm laughing at the person, because it used to be all you had was Vestian Dynasty.
Yeah.
In Destiny 1, that was all we had. And, I mean, it was a fun little gun, but it was never like, until year 3, it wasn't like this incredible thing. And then sidearms just took off at that point. I don't know. Like, we're reprising old weapons. Like, we're starting to run out of weapons to reprise, I think. Which both makes me excited and kind of anxious about, what are we gonna do now? Forge's Pledge was the most recent 390 that we got in Pulses, and I saw so many going oh my god, this gun is dog shit. And I'm like, actually, I used bygones for so many years that I feel at home using this. I just have so many other better options.
Yeah.
But I think if you're bringing back these weapons and you're doing new elements, new perk pools, and new looks, I think you're doing it right at that point. Yeah. That's how you bring a weapon back. Even if it's coming back from Destiny 1 at this point, I think they should have new looks. They shouldn't look exactly like they did. Now, granted, everybody knows how Hung Jury looked. Okay, cool. That's an iconic weapon from D1.
And then they spiced it up with Adept Hung Jury, so...
they spiced it up, and it's just scouts are in a really weird place right now, especially that archetype.
One day.
Scout. One day, yeah. That's why I'm sitting on 35 scout rifles in my vault. Because one day I will be vindicated. I love scouts so much.
Yep.
I want them to be viable.
The rapid fire, Randy's throwing knife, trusty, servant leader.
Oh man.
Those are pretty good. But even then, you have to really play in a very niche play style to make those work for you. I mean,
our friend Max can make those work. I cannot make servant leader work worth a dick for me. But I get killed by it pretty regularly in Gambit by an invader.
Yeah.
I've gotten hit with it there. I've gotten hit in momentum control with it too.
Oh yeah. Well, here's hoping they buff Dead Man's Tale. It's time for scouts to rise.
I mean, I think Dead Man's got a little bit too much of a nerf when they did it last season. It was okay, listen, this is the only viable scout in the game, and y'all just ran it into the ground. Before then, to play with a scout, you had to be very aggressive. I would say in terms of not in terms of play, but in terms of your shot selection. I don't like running snipers, but I treated my scout rifle like it was one, and nobody knew where I was shooting from, so I could get the kill easily. Yeah. I would love to go back to being able to use Meta regularly in PvP, but I
still see people doing it. I see
people doing it too, but it's that niche class like you talked about.
Yep.
I'm trying to think of what else, because there's not a whole lot else tonight. So the TWAB is pretty scarce this week. I would say that it's probably going to be scarce for a few more weeks until they start sharing with us some details about the anniversary. But even with that, I think they kind of want to let that just play out.
Yeah.
Just come out.
That's a month and a half, almost 2 months until Witch Queen after that.
Yeah. So from where we are right now, we're about 4 months out from the Witch Queen. The 30th anniversary event happens at the halfway point. So we've got about 9 weeks. 9 weeks from the time of this recording until Witch Queen, or until not Witch Queen, God, until the 30th anniversary event.
Yeah, which happens the day before Halo Infinite. Curiously enough.
Oh God, dude, I'm not mentally prepared for how busy of a 72-hour period that's going to be.
Yep. of you and me are going to be in that dungeon, getting Gallarhorn, doing whatever we can, getting that Thorn armor set.
Dude, I'm getting that Thorn armor. They better give me some more transmog tokens too, because I've spent all mine for this season.
IS Luna's back. I'm assuming
Luna's back. 1,000-yard stare is back.
Yep. Which makes me wonder, not to go off on too much of a side tangent.
No, you're good.
But if IS Luna and 1,000-yard stare and Gallarhorn and the Thorn armor are all in the dungeon, what the hell is dropping from this new 6-man activity that's going to be free to play for everyone?
So I would imagine that AS Luna and 1,000-yard stare will probably drop from that activity as well.
No, they confirmed it's from the dungeon.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I missed that was dungeon exclusive. I would guess that Spoils of Eternity, or whatever the event is called, Shores of Eternity, I don't remember what it's called exactly, will probably feature some. You'll probably have a couple more reprised weapons from D1. I could see. I don't think that they'll put this one in there, but LDR was a really beloved sniper. I could see some D1 raid weapons coming back. Maybe a selection of those.
The random selection. Yeah.
I think that's where you're going to see weapons that are inspired by Marathon, Oni, and Halo possibly pop up at. I could see so we've all heard and seen the rumor at this point. It's been out there in the open for 8 months. We've talked about it on this show a couple of times. We don't normally traffic in leaks, but both the Notepad leak and the Pastebin leak have been largely correct up to this point. I think the Pastebin has been disproven more, but a lot has still been accurate on that. Both of those claimed that the Destiny, or not Destiny 1, the Halo 1 Magnum would be added as an exotic. For me, that would be the ultimate thing to grind for there, especially if you made it a weapon that has random rolls.
Yeah.
I think that would keep people engaged, because that's stuff that's going to stay in the game. You can't put that in for 2 months after you've asked people to pay $25 for it and then take it away. It just doesn't work.
Josh, I got to ask you, if we get that pistol, do you class it as a hand cannon or do you class it as a sidearm?
Hand cannon.
Yeah. Definitely shoots.
Absolutely.
Looks like a
sidearm, but I mean, it's gonna have to be completely unique how it fires. God,
you were 3-shotting Spartans with that thing.
Move out. Honestly, at that point, move out. That's basically last word with sights.
Wouldn't it be fun if it had the same mechanic of you get pulled out of ADS when you get shot in return? Just as a little balancing thing, make it a little OP.
I think they're going to have a couple of weapons from each. I think the Marathon and Oni-inspired weapons, as well as any other property, would be legendary weapons. I think anything from Halo would be an exotic, just because they probably had to pay a fuck ton of money for that. My suspicions for if we get Halo exotics are if you do Halo exotics and you don't do
energy sword.
If you don't do the pistol and the energy sword, I feel like you've kind of wasted it. I would we've heard that there's the leak says that we're going to see new types of ornaments be introduced to Eververse. More universal weapon ornaments, which I would love to have one for rocket launchers that is the Halo rocket launcher.
Yeah.
Or the Halo sniper rifle. I would love to see those two show up. I could see as an auto rifle, I could see them putting the assault rifle in the game.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you think about the 3 most iconic Halo weapons; those are probably the 3. I would put the battle rifle on that list, the sniper, the gravity hammer.
Even if it wasn't good, if they just do the AR,
give me a gravity hammer. That's all I want to say. Give me a gravity hammer. I feel like it's pretty much a given that in terms of stuff that we're going to see from Halo in the game, there's going to be a Guilty Spark Ghost. There has to be. You don't do this without doing 343 Guilty Spark.
What about a Ghost Sparrow?
So I actually don't know about a Ghost Sparrow, because I think the dimensions would be a little bit too weird for it. You'd have to make them really small wings, like on Scooty Puff. There's a dimension limit on how wide you can make a Sparrow. I actually think the Brute Chopper from Halo...
A mini ghost.
Oh, dude! If it's a fucking mini ghost, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. If you're like sitting on it with like your knees up in the air, that would be so, and you're like holding a little toggle, that would be so great. I like that we brought the 30th anniversary event because we got the flavor text for it updated in game with the API update this week. It indicates that you're going to get a couple of exotic things given to you for free just from buying this when it goes live. And one of those is that there's going to be 2 exotic ships. This could not be more clear to me. Phantom, or excuse me, a Pelican and a Banshee.
Yep.
There.
Has to.
Done.
Has to,
I don't care about the logistics of the Banshee can't jump to light speed.
Don't give a fuck.
Okay.
Who
gives a fuck? Now, that being said, if you didn't give me a Banshee and you gave me a Phantom instead, I'd still be pretty happy.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's a slam dunk. Giving me a whole fuckload of Halo ornaments feels like a slam dunk.
Yeah. What Titan I don't know. Proudly put on, lock in, never take off a series of Spartan ornaments, you know?
So, and that's the other thing I want to bring up. So we know about 2 universal armor sets that are going to be in the game, and one is inspired by Marathon, and one is the Bungie Streetwear set, which just looks horrible. It's an affront to humanity.
No, the Punk Rock Titan looks pretty badass. It's
the fact that the hunters are wearing a fucking hoodie with a scarf is pretty bad.
You can cosplay DMG all day.
Listen, I will probably end up buying it, despite how much I'm bashing it right now. But I don't know if I can bring myself to do it. What has always caught my eye is when they say there is an exotic helmet ornament that will be given out to everybody. That has to be fucking Chief's helmet.
Chiefs, yeah.
So we'd also heard that there was going to be a set of Spartan armor for each class, or Spartan-inspired armor. Titans would obviously get an actual Spartan set. Hunters would get Helljumper armor, and the rumor was that Warlocks, because I think that's probably your big hang-up there, we're going to get Arbiter-inspired armor, which I still think is badass, if that plays out the way that we think it could.
I'm hip to that. I also think it would just be funnier and cooler if all 3 of them were Spartans, but Hunters, it was just Spartan armor with a really small cloak over it, and Warlocks were just Spartan armor with robes around it. You know what I mean? Ripping through.
I was saying this before. I feel like the move for the Warlocks would have been the Chief armor with the cloak that he wears in the Halo 5 reveal.
Yeah.
But that's not from Bungie, so... And then, honestly, the move for Hunters would have been Emil from Halo Reach, but we got his helmet last year with a bomber jacket.
Fair enough.
So I can already look like a Spartan, basically.
And I don't know the last time that you looked at the Titan Reckoning armor, but it's literally Master Chief's helmet with a fucking bandana over it.
Oh yeah, it's great. There is so much that you can do here, and like I've seen the doom and gloom on Reddit and on Twitter, like, oh, they haven't announced any Halo things other than the Kneeler pauldrons and the little Halo ring for the Warlock bond.
The Halo bond is pretty.
I'm like,
tight.
Guys, it's because Halo Infinite's coming out the day after. They don't want to say, hey, we're putting Halo shit in our game that is coming out 24 hours before Infinite. Maybe like 12 hours before Infinite, really. Like, we don't want to run around saying that, y'all. Like, I'm still convinced Microsoft's doing an event next month, and that's probably when we'll see some of this at least teased. But there's no way Bungie and Microsoft do not milk this for all it is worth. There is no humanly possible way. I think it's awesome. It's going to be fun. I'm going to keep talking about it every single week until we get that anniversary event. But we do have a small thing in the TWAB to talk about before we move into the lore corner tonight, John, before we wrap up and get our friends out of here. Legendary Astral Alignment next week. This is wacky. This reminds me of Sundial.
Yeah,
we had to go in with 6 people, and I don't mean that in a particularly great way either. Astral Alignment is going to become more spicy. Recommended power is 1320, and there will be modifiers each day to keep things interesting. Loadouts will be locked, and failing to complete or wiping as a team sends you back to orbit, so, like, don't die. Weekly rotating modifiers. Denial. Taken and Vandal summon their shields significantly more often. Fuck you, whoever thought of this.
They already do that too often.
Taken combatants generate blight geysers when defeated. That's what terrifies me. And should scare anybody who gets in the face of their enemies to finish them or punch them. An empath. Enhanced radar takes increased damage from melee. I am really scared of this when it is the Scorn.
Yeah.
You will get one-shotted by Scorn. Constant modifiers. Champions, Overload, and Unstoppable. Of course, we're in the middle of having to use Overload Bow, which most people don't like using. Equipment locked and match game. So what do you get for overcoming these extra challenges? There will be an extra bonus chest waiting for you at the end. That is 3 total for everyone keeping score at home. And if you haven't secured the Catalyst or Acre Scepter yet, extra chests are more likely to hold one. I want to be really clear. There is no cosmetic reward tied to this that we know of. I am doing this one time for my seal, and that is it.
Yep.
And it will probably be in early February when I finally get around to doing it.
Yep. I love the idea of harder difficulty options, but if literally all you're going to do is give me another roll on something I'm probably going to scrap, I don't really care.
Yeah, when we're 2 months into the season, most of us have rolls on the weapons that we want. I mean, I personally, like, I'm one of the handful that, like, just doesn't really care for the main suite of weapons this season. I'm not a hand cannon user. Heavy grenade launchers are in a bad place right now. I have saved a couple of these because I got one with chain reaction.
I got one with really Impulse and Vorpal that I held on to. Impulse Amplifier. Yeah,
I've held on to 2. I've held on to one of those as well. The shotgun doesn't really blow my socks off. I'm in a weird place with this shotgun. So I tried using one dual loader. Have just decided I don't like dual loader as a perk. Period.
Nope.
And I just, in general, I'm not a big fan. Like, if I'm going to run a stasis primary, I'm running that sidearm. I'm running Peacebound instead, just because of my play style. And then the AR is, I saved one with Dynamic Sway and I want to say Rampage.
It's the clunkiest archetype of auto rifle.
It's so fucking clunky. You thought 450s were bad, my friends.
Here's a 360 motherfucker. Strap in.
Yeah, that thing. Like chugga. I don't know if we ever get to the choo. It's just chugging. Some say it's still chugging to this day.
I will say, and I know bows aren't your thing, but the wolf drawn bow is actually pretty fantastic.
It's not bad, but
the only bow with harmony, which is very. I've seen people go off on streaks with you get a kill with a shotgun, switch to the bow, and start one tapping. You know, just it's fine. I'm not. Like John said, I'm not a bow user. I use bows when I have to. I definitely feel more comfortable using them now than I did at the beginning of the season. I took Point of the Stag in the PvP, used it to get my Deadeye title. Really enjoyed my time with it, but it's just not for me and my playstyle. I think that people also Destiny, I think, is at times too aggressive of a game if you're not automatically god tier with that specific type of weapon. Yeah.
I think it's too fast paced, and for me, I'd rather just use a fusion rifle or, God forbid, I use a shotgun or something. I would rather use almost anything other than a bow. I'd rather run a hand cannon than a bow, frankly.
Regardless of the season, this is always my assessment of bows in Destiny, especially for PvP. It's a choice. It is a goddamn choice.
If you do good, then don't ever change what you're doing. But man, it can be really, really difficult if you're not good with it. So we've been reading a little series here about Saladin the last couple of weeks. And I wanna finish it up, but I want to see if I can find the last piece we were going to read. And of course, now I'm having a tough time finding it.
Naturally. I
have slept since last week, so my deepest apologies if we actually read these last week. It has been. I cannot emphasize how busy the last week has been for me. A lot of you know I take care of my grandma. She fell and hurt herself again, so she's been having to get a lot of tests. I got get her checked into a rehab hospital. We had a wedding to go to. We had a rehearsal for said wedding. Said wedding started 3 hours late. The weekend was not good for us. It was a very long, exhausting weekend, and of course, Corey is not here this weekend or this week, so trying to put things together and still find time to play Destiny at night. Girlfriend is like on her fourth or fifth night at the hospital because of overtime. Anyways, without further ado, this is going to be the end of our Saladin lore for at least a little while. We're going to get back to the seasonal lore, I think, at the end of the month, because next week I want to read some of Glint's passages from this goofy book. I'm not going to read all 35 of them, because that would take literally half a year for me. That's a half a year's worth of shows.
Yeah.
But they are there for you to go read if you don't actually feel like grinding it out. And I can't blame you. I'm doing it for the cosmetic rewards. And because I just really like lore, I would encourage you to go read it on Ishtar Collective. It is really funny. It's really heartwarming. And I love that Glint is telling stories. And it's all canonical. Like, it fits in with the events of this season, which I like. But the first piece that we have is the class item from the Iron Banner set. It's the same across all three. So just class item. Some know the legend. We crush the warlords beneath our heels so that they may never rise again. Saladin remembers the first time he met Zavala. He remembers thinking that the Awoken had regal bearing like the stags he once hunted on the steppes. His shoulders were broad and his chin held high. When he moved, he did so with the strength and purposeful deliberation of someone with the power to determine his own place in the world. You'll never have a son, his ghost had said, but it isn't too late for you to take an apprentice. Saladin remembers their sparring matches. He remembers how Zavala always got back on his feet, no matter how many times Saladin put him down. He remembers refusing to offer the younger Lightbearer a hand up until the day Zavala finally bested him in combat. He remembers lying flat on his back, left shoulder dislocated and ribs shattered, a strange pressure on his chest that made it difficult to breathe. Finish it, Saladin had commanded, because that was the way of things. His ghost would revive him. Saying nothing, Zavala hauled him to his feet instead. Saladin remembers all this and more when his former apprentice calls him into his office and tells him about the face behind the crow's mask. Zavala says he knows that Saladin doesn't like secrets, that it's unfair to ask him to keep one of this magnitude, but there will come a time when the crow needs someone. The way Zavala needed Saladin. You never needed anyone, Saladin insists. Zavala only smiles. I really, really, really love this piece of lore. We've been on this journey with Saladin remembering his past. We talked last week and the week before kind of about, do we think that Saladin is possibly on the chopping block? And I think I wouldn't say that's an easy conclusion to come to, but I think that when you read a piece of lore like this, I think it makes it a little bit easier to support the notion that Saladin may be on his way out.
Don't say
but
that.
I like even. Listen, I've said it for a little while. I think it's that they've started including Saladin in the lore a lot, but that's usually never a good sign for said character in the lore. And we know that somebody is going to fall. I like that Saladin was in Season of the Chosen. I think that was good. And we now know, thanks to the seasonal lore that we've gotten, and we're going to go into more detail about this towards the end of the month, Crow is the other ambassador to Keitel now, alongside Saladin. Which I love that so much. I think it's great that these two guys that are polar opposites are being asked to work together. And we see here Zavala basically tells him, I want you to make the Crow your apprentice. Crow needs somebody to guide him. And I wonder if Saladin comes between him and Savathun. With Savathun trying to manipulate him, I would really love if Saladin kicked off our story next season with the Witch Queen, if he kicked off our year-long story and he was kind of our seasonal guide for it. I think that's a unique opportunity that we haven't seized upon enough in this world. Him and Shax are largely bystanders to the events that go on. They are mentioned very little. They have legends in the lore, obviously. We read about Warlord Shax last year, and facing down Winter and facing down Ephrodite and the Iron Lords. And yet, outside of the Devil's Ruin mission, what have we, and the insinuation that he has fallen underneath Savathun's sway, what has Shaxx really done in the last couple of years?
Trained millions of Guardians. That's what.
Saladin has, for story purposes, he started to take a much bigger role. We saw him in Empty Vessel last year, or last season. We saw him in the Season of the Lord for Chosen, obviously, because he was one of the guides in it. And now we're seeing him in the entire Iron Banner set, as well as the weapons. And we're going to read the final passage here, because I think it's important for us to understand with Saladin, and if Saladin really is on his way out. And I think this kind of helps support that theory too. This is Forge's pledge. It's the pulse that John and I were talking about earlier. Say whatever you like, you just better be brave enough to say it to his face. And it's a quote from Lady Aphrodite. Iron Lord Saladin Forge is not a man to be fooled with. If you make a joke at his expense, you would best hope he laughs when he hears it, and he never laughs. Iron Lord Saladin Forge is not a man to be slighted. If you wound him, you best hope he forgets you, and he never forgets. Iron Lord Saladin Forge is not a man to be lied to. If you mislead him, you would best hope he never finds out, and he always finds out. And if for some unfathomable reason you decide to pose as his friend and advisor, sow rumors within his ranks, whisper lies in his ear, and lay the full force of your foul deceit upon him, you had best hope that your worm god, your sword logic, your tithes and tributes, and reams of ageless bargains are enough to keep you safe, and you will never be safe from Iron Lord Saladin Forge.
Wonder who they're talking about.
Ladies and gentlemen, Lord Saladin is on his way out. I regret to inform you.
No,
on Tower Casuals
the
for the third week in a row.
Josh.
I need to see this as a cutscene this time. It is not enough to have him go out like Sagira. I need him to... I gave this power fantasy last week that when Saladin goes out, I need lightning to just start glowing around him like Thor. I need him to summon the shield, and I need him to summon a hammer. Like we get Osiris described to us as using all three elements against Xivu Arath's forces. I need him to 1v1 with Savathun. What if, when he dies, his ghost is how she gets the light?
No, I feel like she already has a ghost. Like she has some sort of spell, something set up.
I'm sure she does too. I'm hypothesizing here. I need that to be an epic cutscene. I said this, like, I would love to, when Savathun inevitably breaks out, the end of the season event is us evacuating the tower. Because she has shown up there. And I would love for the cutscene to cut to him, Shaxx, Zavala, and Saint 14 standing beside each other. And when they all try to do something, he steps forward with his hand out and is like, no, I've got this. And that's when he summons all of the elements and tries to attack her by himself. Like, listen, I need to see it, okay? I need to see Saladin 1v1 somebody. Like, who else could take on a god by themselves in the town? Like, Ikora, probably?
Yeah.
Like, what would demoralize the ranks of the Vanguard more than losing Saladin? You have a built-in person to come and run Iron Banner with Ephrodite. Rename Trials of Osiris the Trials of Lord Saladin. I mean, we also shared our...
I don't want to see
Osiris is dead, so... Hit me. You didn't want to what?
I don't want to see Saladman go. I love his character. I love what they've been doing with him recently. Also, I don't know if you've noticed.
I like what they've done recently. I didn't like him as a character until this year. I thought he was just an asshole, which he is. Like, that's very much his character. But outside of Rise of Iron, and now granted, he had a big part in Rise of Iron, of course, it's his expansion, but other than that, we never really got any sort of character development with him, whether it was in D1 or D2. I mean, look at how we've recounted it, how Crow calls him a coward in the Iron Banner Lord season for him not doing anything during the Red War. He questions him, like, basically, where the fuck were you? And it's true, like, I think we all kind of wondered it, like, Saladin's not here helping. Like, even Shax has a cameo, but, like, Amanda Holiday is out here with a gun helping, and Saladin can't be coming in with Big Hammer? Like, you got
He lost his light. He had wolves to look after on the
Dude,
mountainside.
sick the wolves on the Cabal! Listen, if Christmas Grandma can fight her way out of the city, Saladin can get into the city and help out too. And I mean, of course, you know, we went over this last week. He did actually help evacuate a large number of people up to the mountains and then sealed the gates. I get that. I understand it. I respect it.
Yeah.
But I do think it's a fair question to ask, and it took us years to get that answer. These are characters I think Bungie is realizing they can't just have them be one-dimensional faces and voices anymore. And for better or worse, Saladin and Shax, and we've even said Zavala up until the last year, really have felt that way. Really, our tower people have, I mean, look at all the complaints. Ikora has done fuck all in like 2 years until recently. You know, we got more characterization with Crow in 3 weeks than we did with Ikora in 2 years. And that's unacceptable for someone who's supposed to be one of the faces of your franchise.
Yeah.
It really does feel like to me that we are getting ready to start retiring some of these OG characters, and that those who live maybe accompany us on what's next after the light and dark. Like, it is clear we're going to lose many more allies in the next couple of expansions, but I think that kind of sets you up for, like, I don't know, new. Drifter, Saint, and whatever crippled husk of Osiris is left to maybe guide you to what's beyond the city. What's beyond the solar system, you know? Maybe they're the ones who go, because they've been there. Like, Osiris and Drifter have been there before. They've gone and done that. Like, Mara has gone beyond. You know, you take Crow along with you, I don't know, or Crow stays behind to lead the city. Like, there's so many things you can do. And I think it's great that we can actually have these discussions about these characters now. Because for so long, it was just like, well, I mean, I guess you could bring Aphrodite back to do Iron Banner. Where's she been? She's been MIA for like 3 or 4 years now. Not even a whisper of her. Bring Aphrodite back. She's the only other Iron Lord. Well, besides us, but you know, that happened and conveniently got forgotten.
Yeah, no, that won't be made official until they give us the goddamn title. Bungie, give me an Iron Banner title, please.
Give me the Iron Banner title. Give me Saladin's axe. Give me that hammer of proving. You know what you got.
Wear capes.
Let Titans wear capes. Let Hunters wear bath towels. Give me a flat flap, Bungie. I'm ready. But with that, I think our time together tonight has come to a close. I want to thank everybody for tuning in and listening. It is audio only this week. Corey typically does the video, but unless we somehow have an unexpected surprise like we did with the Witch Queen reveal, which I did not intend to have video, and then it did, this will likely be an audio only. I think, John, thank you for joining us. I appreciate you jumping in here at the literal last minute to join me. I asked you last night, of course, as always, you did not hesitate. Where can the people find you at, John?
They can find me grinding haunted lost sectors on Xbox at A1John.
At A1Johnny. And, of course, as always, you can find me on Twitter at Josh_Finn with 2 N's. I'll probably be complaining about something in this game at some point, or just getting immensely frustrated with Metroid Dread. And until next time, from me, from Johnny, from Corey, we will see you Starside.